is in heaven. She goes, do you think I could go sometime? I said, baby.
You blink, and suddenly her name is everywhere. Erika Kirk, trending on X, splashed across gossip pages, stitched into TikTok clips with 1 million views. And the wildest part is, it didn't even start with a courtroom photo or some official statement. It started with a nanny story. One messy, whispery, someone close to the family said kind of report that hit the internet at the exact moment people were already side-eyeing her silence. Because here's what the internet is saying right now, and I'm stressing this. These are reports and rumors flying around, not confirmed facts, but the chatter is loud. The claim is that Erika hasn't been seen with her kids in weeks, and that the nanny has allegedly been doing the pickups, the drop-offs, the bedtime routines, the whole mom duty shift, while Erika's been out in public, smiling for cameras, showing up at events, and keeping that polished image intact. And then, like gasoline on a spark, an old podcast clip pops back up. A single line, a casual comment from a political interview that people swear was a slip-up. Suddenly, everybody is rewinding, replaying, reading lips, turning one sentence into a whole conspiracy thread. Did she just say Erika lost her kids? Did she mean custody? Did she mean tragedy? The clarification comes later, but by then, it's too late. The internet doesn't wait for context. It feeds on the first version and builds a whole monster out of it. Now people are digging into everything. Every photo Erika posts, every caption about faith, every emotional story she tells about her child asking where daddy is. And instead of sympathy, some fans are saying it feels staged. Others are defending her like their life depends on it. And right in the middle of that chaos is this one ugly question getting louder by the hour. If Erika's fine, if everything is normal, then why does the nanny keep showing up in the story like she's the main character? Because when a nanny becomes the headline, you already know what happens next. Emotions ran high, accusations started flying, and the family was left divided before anyone even confirmed what's real. And trust me, the next part of this rumor storm is where it gets truly ruthless. When the nanny story first started circulating online, it didn't hit like a bomb. At first, it felt like one of those quiet whispers that float through gossip corners and disappear within hours. But this one didn't fade. Instead, it stuck, because Erika Kirk's name was already sitting on shaky ground in the court of public opinion. People had been watching her closely for weeks, noticing patterns they couldn't ignore. And once the nanny angle entered the conversation, everything people had been side-eyeing suddenly felt connected. Reports began popping up claiming that Erika hadn't been spotted with her children in what felt like a long time, not just a few days, weeks. According to these reports, it was the nanny who was handling the daily routines, school drop-offs, meals, bedtime, even emotional meltdowns, the kind of responsibilities people usually associate with a present parent. And while none of this was confirmed, the internet didn't care about confirmation. Fans are shocked doesn't even begin to cover it. Timelines filled up with speculation, and comment sections turned into courtrooms where strangers argued like jurors. Some fans immediately pushed back. They reminded everyone that Erika had been through a devastating loss. Grief, they said, doesn't follow a schedule. It doesn't look neat or predictable. One supporter wrote that maybe the nanny stepping in was an act of love, not neglect. Maybe Erika was trying to survive, trying to function, trying to hold herself together in a way the public couldn't see. And for a moment, that explanation seemed enough for some people. Empathy flowed, hearts softened. But then the other side of the internet spoke louder. Others pointed out that grief hadn't stopped Erika from showing up everywhere else. She was still appearing at events, still flying city to city, still giving interviews and speeches, still posting carefully framed photos with captions about faith, strength, and purpose. Critics began asking uncomfortable questions. If she had the energy to be present on stages and podcasts, why did reports keep saying she wasn't present at home? That contrast became the heart of the controversy. It wasn't about whether she loved her kids. It was about where her time was actually going. Then an old podcast clip resurfaced and poured fuel on the fire. It was from a political interview months earlier, where a guest casually made a comment that many listeners interpreted as Erika having lost her kids. The clip was short, blurry, and taken completely out of context, but it spread faster than any clarification ever could. By the time the speaker later explained that she meant the children had lost their father, not custody, the damage was already done. Emotions ran high. People accused Erika's team of trying to walk it back. Others accused the internet of deliberately twisting words. Either way, the rumor had a life of its own. Suddenly, every piece of Erika's public behavior was being re-examined. Fans replayed her emotional stories, especially the one where she described her young child asking where her father was. She had shared it with pauses, tears, and a trembling voice, clearly meant to show vulnerability. But now, under this new lens, some viewers said it didn't feel authentic anymore. They claimed it sounded rehearsed, like a performance crafted to win sympathy, rather than a raw moment between a mother and her child. That reaction divided her audience sharply. One side felt disgusted by the accusation. The other felt deeply unsettled by the possibility. The nanny rumor grew darker when unnamed sources were quoted suggesting that Erika was rarely home and that the children had grown accustomed to her absence. According to these claims, the kids allegedly stopped asking where she was because being gone had become normal. That detail, whether true or not, broke hearts online. People imagined small children quietly adapting to absence, and the image alone was enough to ignite outrage. The family was left divided, not just privately, but publicly, as strangers debated what kind of mother Erika really was. In response to the growing chatter, Erika posted photos showing herself with her children, smiling, close, affectionate. But instead of calming things down, the move backfired. Critics accused her of damage control. They analyzed the photos frame by frame, questioning when they were taken and why they were suddenly being shared now. Some even claimed the children looked older than their reported ages, which opened the door to even more unhinged theories. Timelines were questioned, dates were dissected, nothing was left untouched. Around the same time, whispers about CPS and custody reviews started appearing in comment sections and blog posts. No official documents were shown, no authorities confirmed anything. But the phrasing people used was careful and dangerous. Words like allegedly and reportedly did a lot of heavy lifting, allowing the story to spread without ever fully crossing into fact. People began saying there was a whistleblower nanny, someone on the inside, someone who had seen what was really happening behind closed doors. That idea alone shifted the tone of the entire narrative. It wasn't just about absence anymore, it was about betrayal. If the nanny really was speaking out, then this wasn't a random rumor. It was someone close, someone trusted, someone who knew the daily reality of the household. Fans are shocked when they hear that kind of framing because it turns a personal tragedy into a potential expose. Erika's silence during this period only made things worse. No long statement, no emotional video, just a noticeable pullback from addressing the rumors directly. Supporters argued that staying quiet was the smart move. They said legal matters, especially involving children, shouldn't be played out online. Critics saw it differently. They said the silence felt calculated, like someone waiting for the storm to pass instead of facing it head-on. Every day without a response made the speculation louder. Reaction videos multiplied. Creators dissected her body language from old interviews. Fans and haters alike searched for clues that might confirm whatever version of the story they already believed. By this point, the story wasn't just about Erika Kirk anymore. It had become a mirror for how the internet treats women in crisis. Some viewers admitted they didn't even care whether the rumors were true. They just wanted accountability, whatever that meant to them. Others felt uncomfortable with how quickly people were ready to tear down a grieving mother based on unverified reports. The emotional conflict spilled everywhere. Comment sections turned toxic, friendships online were tested, people unfollowed each other over opposing opinions. And right at the center of it all was that original claim: the nanny is doing everything. A simple sentence that somehow grew into a full-blown scandal. Whether it was true, exaggerated, or completely false didn't matter anymore. The narrative had already taken shape. Erika Kirk was being framed as a woman choosing visibility over presence, image over intimacy, and ambition over motherhood. And once that idea took hold, the internet proved just how ruthless it can be. The moment people started labeling it the nanny story, everything shifted. It stopped being a quiet rumor and turned into something heavier, something that carried judgment with it. Online posts began framing it as if the nanny wasn't just helping, but allegedly running the household. According to circulating reports, she was the one consistently seen handling the children's routines, while Erika Kirk appeared absent from the day-to-day picture. Again, not a
This was officially confirmed, but repetition made it feel real. Once a narrative is repeated enough times online, it stops sounding like speculation and starts feeling like truth. Fans who had followed Erika for years felt torn. On one hand, they remembered her as a fiercely devoted mother who often spoke about her children as her grounding force. On the other hand, the timing of these reports made people uneasy. Erika was everywhere publicly. Interviews, events, appearances, photos that looked polished and purposeful. Critics argued that it was hard to reconcile that level of public energy with claims that she was emotionally and physically unavailable at home. The contrast became impossible for many to ignore, and that contrast is what fueled the outrage more than the rumor itself. Some supporters pushed back hard, saying the internet had no right to decide what motherhood should look like, especially after loss. They reminded everyone that grief doesn't follow rules, and that survival sometimes means leaning on help. In their view, the nanny stepping in wasn't abandonment, it was support. But critics weren't convinced. They said this didn't look like temporary help during a crisis. It looked, according to the reports, like a long-term pattern, and patterns are what make people start asking dangerous questions. Things escalated when that old podcast clip resurfaced. It wasn't new, but it hit differently now. A guest had casually referenced Erika and said something that sounded like she had lost her kids. The clip was short, grainy, and lacking context, but it spread like wildfire. Reaction videos popped up within hours. Captions screamed that the truth had slipped out. People slowed the audio, replayed it, debated every word. When a clarification later appeared explaining that the comment was about the children losing their father, not custody, it barely slowed the momentum. Emotions ran high, and many viewers felt the clarification came too late to undo the damage. What followed was a deep dive into Erika's public behavior. Fans replayed interviews she had given after the tragedy. One story in particular became a focal point. Erika had described her young child asking where her father was, and she recounted how she explained that he was in heaven. At the time, many found it heartbreaking. Now, some viewers said it felt overly polished. They accused her of performing grief instead of living it. That accusation cut deep and split her audience in half. Supporters called it cruel and inhumane. Critics said it explained everything. As the nanny rumor continued to spread, unnamed sources began adding layers to the story. Posts claimed that Erika was rarely home, that her travel schedule was intense, and that the children had grown used to her being gone. One particular line hit social media hard: the idea that the kids allegedly stopped asking where she was because absence had become normal. Whether true or not, the image alone was enough to break hearts. Fans are shocked when children are pulled into a narrative like that because it instantly turns gossip into something emotional and personal. Erika's response, or lack of one, became its own controversy. Instead of issuing a long statement, she posted photos with her children. Smiling, close, affectionate. Captions spoke of love, faith, and strength. To her supporters, it was proof that the rumors were unfair. To her critics, it looked like damage control. People dissected the photos obsessively. They questioned when they were taken, why they were posted now, what they were meant to distract from. Some even claimed the children appeared older than their reported ages, opening the door to even more unsettling theories about timelines and truthfulness. Around this time, new words started appearing in comment sections and blogs. CPS, custody, review, allegedly, reportedly. No documents were shown, no officials confirmed anything, but the careful language allowed the story to grow without crossing a legal line. Some posts claimed there was a whistleblower nanny, someone from inside the home who had seen everything and couldn't stay silent anymore. That idea changed the tone completely. This wasn't just speculation anymore, it was framed as betrayal from someone trusted. People began asking why a nanny would speak out unless something was seriously wrong. Others countered that nannies are often dragged into scandals unfairly, used as convenient villains or heroes depending on the narrative. But the damage was done. The nanny was no longer background help. She was being positioned as a key witness in a story that kept getting darker with every retelling. Through it all, Erika stayed mostly quiet. No direct denials, no emotional live streams, just continued public appearances and carefully curated posts. Some fans praised her restraint, saying legal matters involving children should never be discussed online. Others saw the silence as strategic. They accused her of
waiting out the storm while the internet tore her apart. Each day without a clear response made reaction videos more aggressive and speculation more extreme. What made this moment so explosive wasn't just the rumor itself, but the way it tapped into larger frustrations. People weren't only talking about Erika Kirk anymore. They were arguing about motherhood, ambition, grief, and image. Some admitted they didn't know what was true, but they felt something was off. Others said the internet was once again punishing a woman for not fitting into a narrow idea of how a grieving mother should behave. The family was left divided in public opinion, even as the real situation remained unclear. And yet, despite all the noise, everything kept circling back to that one idea: the nanny is doing everything. Whether it was exaggeration, misinterpretation, or something more serious, that sentence had taken on a life of its own. It reshaped how people saw every move Erika made. Every smile looked calculated. Every absence looked suspicious. And the more the story spread, the harder it became for anyone to separate rumor from reality, because the internet had already decided that something didn't add up. Once that idea settled in, the narrative stopped evolving naturally and started mutating. Every new post, every appearance, every silence was folded back into the same storyline. People weren't just reacting anymore, they were building on it. Entire threads appeared breaking down Erika's travel schedule, lining up dates from interviews with sightings from events, and asking how someone could be in so many places while supposedly being fully present at home. Again, these were questions, not facts, but the confidence with which they were asked made them feel accusatory. Fans who had once defended Erika without hesitation started sounding unsure. You could see the shift in tone. Comments changed from absolute support to cautious language. Phrases like, "if this is true," and "I hope it's not real," began appearing everywhere. That hesitation mattered because it signaled that doubt had officially entered spaces that were once loyal. Critics took that as validation.
They said the cracks were finally showing and that people were waking up to what they claimed had been obvious for months. The spotlight then widened to include people around Erika. Friends, associates, even family members were pulled into the speculation. Every unfollow, every missing tag, every absence from photos was treated like evidence. If someone who used to appear regularly in her life went quiet online, people assumed there was tension. If someone defended her, they were accused of being part of a cover story. Emotions ran high because the internet thrives on choosing sides, and neutrality wasn't allowed. Then came the claims about behind-the-scenes concern. Posts started circulating saying that people close to the family were worried about the children. That word worried became another emotional trigger. According to these reports, concerns had been raised quietly at first, away from cameras and headlines. Supposedly, there were conversations urging Erika to slow down, to pull back from public life, to focus inward. None of this was confirmed, but the idea that warnings had been given and ignored made the situation feel more serious in the eyes of critics. The conversation shifted again when people began focusing on Erika's ex. Why, they asked, was he still so involved? Why was he reportedly checking in, raising alarms, and staying connected to the situation if everything was fine? Some framed his concern as responsible, others framed it as suspicious, and then inevitably the speculation crossed into more uncomfortable territory. Whispers started suggesting his concern might not be purely emotional. People began questioning timelines, relationships, and biological connections. These rumors had no proof, but once introduced, they spread quickly because they added another layer of intrigue. Fans are shocked when stories drift into that kind of territory because it feels invasive and extreme. Even some critics said that line shouldn't be crossed, but the internet rarely self-regulates. Once DNA and paternity are mentioned, curiosity takes over. Old photos resurfaced, past relationships were re-examined, dates were lined up and reinterpreted. Suddenly, Erika's entire personal history was being pulled apart by strangers who felt entitled to answers. Through all of this, Erika's public image remained carefully controlled. When she did appear, she looked composed. Outfits were intentional, words were measured. She spoke about faith, resilience, and purpose. To supporters, this was strength. To critics, it was deflection. They argued that while she spoke about values on stage, the real questions at home were going unanswered. That contrast between message and perception became a recurring theme in commentary videos and blog posts. Another twist came when people
started talking about paperwork. Again, nothing official was shared publicly, but posts claimed that some kind of filing had been made regarding the children's living arrangements. The language was vague but effective. Phrases like temporary supervision and review process were repeated without context. For many viewers, that was enough to assume the worst. The idea that a court could be involved, even hypothetically, elevated the rumor from gossip to something that felt legal and serious. Erika's silence during this phase was interpreted in opposite ways. Supporters said it was proof she was listening to lawyers and protecting her kids. Critics said it was proof she had no explanation that would hold up. The silence became louder than any statement she could have made. Reaction channels dissected her facial expressions from past videos, claiming they now saw guilt where they once saw grief. Others pushed back, saying people were projecting their own narratives onto a woman who was clearly under pressure. The family was left divided not just by opinion, but by emotion. Some viewers felt deep sympathy for Erika, imagining what it must be like to grieve publicly while being judged relentlessly. Others felt anger, saying fame comes with responsibility and that children shouldn't be collateral damage in a branding strategy. Those two perspectives clashed constantly, creating an endless loop of arguments that kept the story trending. As days passed, the tone of the conversation darkened. Early on, people asked questions. Now, many spoke as if conclusions had already been reached. Language shifted from might be to must be. That subtle change mattered because it showed how rumor hardens into belief. Once people believe they understand a situation, they stop waiting for facts. They start demanding consequences. What kept the story alive wasn't new information, but repetition. The same clips, the same photos, the same claims were reposted with new captions. Each time they reached a new audience. Someone seeing it for the first time felt the shock others had felt weeks earlier, and so the cycle continued. Outrage renewed itself daily, keeping Erika's name in circulation whether she responded or not. In the middle of all this, some viewers stepped back and questioned the entire spectacle. They asked whether the internet had crossed a line, whether unverified reports about children should ever be entertainment. But those voices were quieter, drowned out by louder reactions and hotter takes. The algorithm favors intensity, not restraint, and this story had plenty of intensity to offer. By now, Erika Kirk wasn't just a person in a difficult moment. She had become a symbol. To some, she represented a woman unfairly targeted for surviving in her own way. To others, she represented everything wrong with curated authenticity and public motherhood. Both sides projected their beliefs onto her, turning a real-life situation into a battleground for larger cultural arguments. And still, at the center of it all, the original claims remain just that.
Claims, reports, rumors. No clear confirmation, no definitive denial. Just a growing sense that whatever the truth was, it was being buried under layers of noise. The internet kept digging, not always for answers, but for the next twist that would keep everyone watching. By the time the conversation reached this point, it no longer felt like gossip drifting through the background. It felt organized, coordinated, like a story the internet had decided to tell whether Erika participated in it or not. Reaction channels stopped asking questions and started laying out timelines as if they were presenting evidence. Commentators spoke with certainty, even while reminding viewers that everything was allegedly and reportedly. That contradiction didn't slow anything down. If anything, it made the claims feel safer to repeat. A new layer of drama entered when people began talking about a private hearing. Again, nothing official appeared. No documents with seals, no court photos. But posts claimed that a family court session had been scheduled to review the children's living situation. The language was careful but chilling. Review, observation, best interests. Those words carry weight, especially when children are involved. Fans are shocked when they see those terms attached to a name they recognize, because it instantly makes the situation feel real, even if it isn't confirmed. What fueled this angle further was the idea that the nanny might have been involved beyond daily care. Some accounts suggested that she had been asked questions. Others implied she had spoken up. None of it was backed by proof, but the framing was powerful. The nanny was no longer just help. She was being positioned as someone with knowledge, someone who had seen the private version of Erika's life that cameras never caught. For critics, this was the missing piece. They said it explained why Erika looked so controlled and
Public. Why her emotions seemed measured. Why she spoke about motherhood without showing much of it. Supporters pushed back, saying the nanny was being unfairly dragged into a narrative that could damage her life. They pointed out that caregivers often become collateral damage in celebrity scandals, reduced to plot devices instead of real people. But once again, the pushback didn't travel as far as the rumor. People love the idea of an insider. It makes them feel closer to the truth, even when the truth is still out of reach. As speculation intensified, Erika's past was pulled forward and re-examined. Old clips resurfaced, old photos reappeared. Moments that had once passed without comment were now framed as clues. People pointed out how often she spoke about faith during moments of scrutiny. They questioned whether it was genuine or strategic. Some said she leaned on spirituality when pressure mounted. Others said she always had, and the internet was just noticing it now because it wanted a reason to distrust her. Her public appearances during this period became central to the debate. Every event she attended was documented, every outfit analyzed, every smile interpreted. Critics said she looked too comfortable, too polished, too unbothered for someone allegedly dealing with family turmoil. Supporters argued the opposite. They said showing up was how she survived, that collapsing publicly wouldn't help her kids or herself. The same images were used by both sides to argue completely different points, proving how subjective the entire conversation had become. Then there was the silence. For someone who had once been open, reflective, and emotionally expressive online, Erika's lack of direct engagement stood out. No long posts explaining her side, no tearful videos addressing rumors, just controlled messaging, and then, eventually, less messaging at all. Some viewers saw that as legal advice in action. Others saw it as avoidance. Silence became its own character in the story, interpreted however the audience wanted. The idea that records existed added another dramatic twist. Some posts claimed travel transactions contradicted Erika's earlier statements about where she had been during key moments. Again, no records were shown publicly. No one verified anything. But the suggestion alone was enough to restart the cycle of outrage. People said they finally understood why timelines felt off, why certain explanations never fully settled. Whether those feelings were justified didn't matter. What mattered was that doubt had become normalized. As the rumor mill kept turning, the emotional tone shifted again. Early anger gave way to something colder, disappointment. People who once rooted for Erika said they felt let down, even though they couldn't point to a confirmed reason why. That emotional response is powerful because it doesn't require facts. It's based on expectation. When a public figure no longer matches the image someone believed in, the reaction can be just as intense as if a betrayal actually occurred. Others argued that this disappointment said more about the audience than about Erika. They said people project fantasies onto public figures and then punish them for failing to live up to those fantasies. Motherhood, especially, was treated like a performance with strict rules. Critics were accused of wanting Erika to disappear from public life entirely, to suffer quietly, to prove her devotion through absence. Supporters said that expectation was unfair and rooted in outdated ideas about women and ambition. Still, the momentum didn't slow. Leaked messages became the next alleged bombshell. Screenshots circulated claiming to show Erika venting to a close friend about pressure and blame. Nothing illegal, nothing shocking on its own. But the tone, according to those who shared them, felt detached, tired, emotionally distant. Critics said it proved she was checked out. Supporters said it proved she was human. Once again, the same material fueled opposite conclusions. What made this phase particularly intense was how isolated Erika began to appear. People noticed fewer public allies defending her, fewer familiar faces standing beside her. Unfollows were tracked, distances were measured.
Even neutral behavior was framed as abandonment. The internet loves a fall from grace narrative, and isolation is a key ingredient. Whether it was real or perceived didn't matter as much as how it looked. Throughout all of this, one question kept resurfacing. Where are the kids in all of this? Not rhetorically, but literally. Why were they rarely seen? Why were they mostly discussed instead of shown? Supporters said protecting children's privacy was the right move. Critics said their absence only made the nanny story more believable. Every attempt to shield the kids seemed to create more suspicion, which is one of the cruel ironies of public scrutiny. As days turned into weeks, the story hardened into something that
Permanent. It wasn't about waiting for clarity anymore. It was about watching what Erika would do next. People weren't looking for statements. They were looking for patterns, for shifts, for cracks. And every move she made was interpreted through a lens that had already decided something was wrong. The tragedy of it all was that no version of the story could fully be proven or disproven by outsiders. Everything existed in the gray space between report and reality, but that gray space is where the internet thrives. It allows imagination to run wild while maintaining just enough distance from responsibility. Erika Kirk became trapped in that space, where every rumor felt real enough to hurt, but never solid enough to resolve. And by now, the conversation had outgrown her entirely. It had become about control, image, and who gets to define truth in the age of virality. The internet wasn't waiting for answers anymore. It was watching for impact, for collapse, for the next moment that would justify all the assumptions it had already made. By the time the story reached its loudest point, it felt less like a rumor and more like a reckoning the internet had scheduled without consent. People stopped asking what was true and started asking what would happen next. That shift mattered. It meant the audience had moved from curiosity to expectation. Whatever Erika Kirk did or didn't do was now being measured against a verdict the internet felt ready to deliver. Another wave of chatter focused on timing. Commentators noted how Erika's visibility seemed to spike whenever criticism peaked. A new appearance here, a new quote there, a carefully framed photo with a caption about strength, faith, or purpose. Supporters argued this was resilience in action, a woman refusing to disappear. Critics argued it was brand management, a distraction from unanswered questions at home. The same actions were read in opposite ways, depending on what people already believed, and that made the debate impossible to settle. The idea of a longer review process became central to the narrative. Posts claimed that whatever was happening wasn't a quick decision or a dramatic removal, but something slower and more controlled. Observation, evaluation, routine checks. Words like that carry a quiet menace because they suggest seriousness without spectacle. Fans are shocked when they hear those terms because they imply that someone, somewhere, is watching closely. Even without confirmation, the suggestion alone was enough to make people feel like the situation had moved beyond gossip. What made things more intense was how Erika herself seemed to change in the public eye. Whether real or perceived, people said her energy looked different. Smiles appeared tighter, speeches sounded more guarded, interviews felt shorter. Some said she looked exhausted, others said she looked detached. Every micro-expression was turned into analysis. Empathy and suspicion existed side by side, battling for dominance in comment sections and reaction videos. The role of the nanny continued to loom large. Some posts painted her as a hero, stepping up when things fell apart. Others warned against turning a caregiver into a symbol. But the narrative had already decided her importance. She represented stability in a story framed around absence. Whether that framing was fair didn't matter anymore. It resonated emotionally, and emotional narratives travel faster than careful ones. People also began questioning why this story felt so compelling. Some admitted it tapped into deeper anxieties about modern motherhood, about women balancing visibility and responsibility, about grief unfolding in public. Erika became a stand-in for those anxieties, a canvas onto which people projected fears and judgments they might never say out loud otherwise. That projection fueled the intensity of the reaction, because it was never really just about her. As the noise grew louder, a strange calm settled around Erika. Sightings became rare, posts slowed, appearances felt more deliberate. Some interpreted this as retreat, others as preparation. Speculation shifted toward what she might do when she finally spoke, or if she ever would. Some expected a legal statement, others expected a tearful confession. A few said silence was the only smart move left. The absence of clarity became a tension that kept people hooked. Throughout all of this, one uncomfortable truth lingered. None of the central claims had been proven. Everything rested on reports, interpretations, and unnamed sources. And yet the impact was real.
Reputations were being reshaped, trust was eroding, relationships, at least in the public imagination, were fracturing. The family was left divided in narrative form, even if the private reality remained unknown. Supporters continued to argue that the internet was crossing a line, turning a personal situation into entertainment. They warned that no matter what the truth was, children would be
affected by the noise. Critics countered that public figures invite scrutiny and that silence invites suspicion. Those two views clashed endlessly, neither able to overpower the other, keeping the story alive through sheer friction. What made this chapter of the saga feel different was the sense of inevitability. People felt like an outcome was coming, even if they didn't know what it would be. Not because of evidence, but because stories online demand conclusions. They don't sit comfortably with uncertainty. Whether it was a statement, a filing, or a visible change in behavior, audiences believed something had to give. And yet, nothing definitive arrived. Days passed with no clear resolution. The rumor didn't collapse, but it didn't evolve either. It hovered, sustained by memory and repetition. Erika Kirk's name remained tied to the same questions, the same speculation, the same emotionally charged claims. The internet had created a loop, and it showed no signs of breaking it. In the end, what lingered wasn't a fact, but a feeling, a sense that something was unresolved, that the image and the reality didn't quite line up, even if no one could say exactly how. That feeling kept people watching, waiting, refreshing feeds for the next clue. It turned Erika's life into an ongoing episode where the audience felt entitled to answers they might never receive. And that is where the story settled. Not with proof, not with closure, but with tension. A woman under scrutiny, a family wrapped in rumor, a nanny elevated into a symbol, and an internet that proved, once again, how quickly it can turn uncertainty into judgment. Whatever the truth may be, one thing became clear through all the noise. In the age of virality, perception doesn't just follow reality. Sometimes it replaces it entirely. And that's where things stand right now. No final answers, no official confirmations, just a storm of reports, reactions, and unanswered questions that refuse to settle. Some people see a grieving mother being torn apart by rumors. Others see red flags they believe can't be ignored. And somewhere in the middle is a reality none of us actually have full access to. That's what makes this story so unsettling, and honestly, so addictive to watch unfold. The internet has already picked sides, but the truth is, everything you've heard so far comes from what's being reported, what's being claimed, and what's being interpreted through screens and comment sections. Nothing more, nothing less. And yet, those reports have been powerful enough to reshape how people see Erika Kirk almost overnight. Once that shift happens, it's hard to undo, even if clarity eventually comes. Now it's your turn. What do you think is really going on here? Do you believe these reports are being blown out of proportion, or do you think there's more happening behind the scenes than anyone is admitting? Is this another example of the internet being ruthless, or is it accountability playing out in real time? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation is far from over. If you found this breakdown interesting, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. Stories like this evolve fast, and we'll be right here following every twist, every reaction, and every new report as it comes out. Share this video with someone who's been following the Erika Kirk situation, and let's see where the public opinion really stands. The next chapter could change everything.